Hello everybody! Today I have a documentary video of my experiment. I like to use a lot of things that is actually left over, have no other use, to use them to make something nice. This time I have made this, and this. I call them lapel pin, but you know what they're called? Arm pins? I don't know. Somebody suggests me to wear on the shoulder like a parrot. Well, whatever you call them, it's something you can wear on your coat and it looks nice. And I have made this out of this wire tie. Not a new one. Whatever cut off wire tie. If it's new, it's a waste. But after you cut off, you gotta throw the other part away anyway. So why not use it to do something nice? Please keep in mind this is not a how-to video, because how-to meaning that they have done it several times, they know what to do, they just show you what they're doing. This is an actual experiment. That means a lot of raw footage, unedited, no staging. I just did it on my workbench and the factory, and you will hear lots of loud noise and machinery background noise too. But don't worry, I talk loud enough you can actually hear me. And when I move back to the studio, it's a lot quieter. But this is also my first documentary, so I would call this an experimental documentary, or is it a documentary of my experiment? Whatever you call them. You can tell me what you want to call them after you watch it. And it's kind of long, so if you get the idea what I was doing, feel free to fast forward. You don't have to watch the whole thing. So let's start the documentary of my experiment.
One day, I was working at my workbench with these things in the foreground, and my mind just started to wander off, daydreaming, and then I was looking at that tub of wire tie, zip tie, cut off zip tie. They come in the back like this. This is how we use it. And we cut the tail off. And my mind was thinking this. How did I came up with that? First, there was a glob of silicone. Then I planed those wire tie into the glob. After I planed the zip tie into the silicone glob, I start to whip them. What do I mean by whipping them? I am using a piece of scrap zip tie to push the silicone into the center. The purpose of doing that is to push some silicone in between those zip tie so they will stick together by the silicone. Otherwise, the center zip tie will fall apart. Only the outer rings will glue into position.
So we have 4 of these things I grew yesterday with silicone. 2 of them are in a clear plastic bag, 2 of them are in a piece of foam. So I just cut that piece of foam out. And I can reuse this piece of foam when I do the next one. Plastic bag, same thing. So here are 4 pieces in different shape. Then I use a tape gun in a high heat mode. Be careful not to burn your hand. To the point that you can bend them easily.
That's one. And the purpose of melting that is so it will soften up and you can form whatever shape you want. I have just did another one. Looks kind of melts, but that's okay. Later you just cut the wire tie off, trim them, and then when we put another coating on top where we can put paint on, you see what happened. This is the first one we did. I am going to do this one. Again, turn on the high heat. And notice how the foam can melt away. Plastic get too warm, I want to use something like pliers or a screwdriver to hold it. See that piece of foam that just melt off? Again, it's difficult to put paint on this wire tie, but once you put another coating of latex caulking, we can put paint on them. And you can trim them to the way you want it. And if you want to form different shapes, just warm them up again, melt them a little bit, you can form other shapes. There's one more. There's one more to do. This one has lots of different shapes. Just make sure the silicones are cured so it doesn't come off easy. Then you can start melting. Doesn't look like much right now, but once you put caulking on top of them and then you start painting, there's a lot of possibility you can do. After an hour, these have formed a skin, and so as this has formed a skin, so we can start using them and putting latex caulking on top. I have my Yeung stick to do this stuff.
let the latex caulking cure a little bit for a few minutes, and then you probably want to go back to the another toothbrush to pull that latex up again so this texture will stay up. This one I'm going to put some gray mono caulking on it. Repeat the process. The purpose is to put caulking, latex caulking on the surface of the individual wire ties so it forms the paintable surface. See that piece of wire tie is broken off, but I'm not gonna take it off. I'm just gonna let it stay and hold on to by the latex caulking. After a couple of hours, they are dry enough to handle. It's a little tacky, especially the mono one, because the monos have a glossy finish, which take a little longer to actually cure, but it's dry enough that we can handle and do more work with it. So I am going to go ahead and put the matching color of caulking in the base and flip it upside down. So this one, instead of putting the caulking on the base, I am going to put it on the top. There might be a problem, it's too thick, then you might have to wipe it off a little bit and before you can pull again, because if it's too thick it just won't pull right. It won't pull right. And again, once you load up the toothbrush, you have to use another one. Do the same with this one. Now the dab is not totally dry, it's still in the middle, they're still not cured, so overnight they should be cured enough, but at the same time it's good to check in a couple hours just to see they actually got stuck together too much, and in this case this one gets stuck together too much. I want to make it a little bit more separate, make it a little bit more separate, a little bit more flare out. All we have four here after overnight is cured enough to work on, and I'm thinking about using some of them, or if not all of them, as a lapel pin. And like this one, it's a little bit much to wear base and all this stuff in a lapel pin, and oh, look at this, they are still sticking together, but you can separate them a little bit more and put more caulking on top of where the wire tie doesn't have any caulking, so you
get a good painting surface. But what I'm going to do today is they are still a little tacky, a little sticky. It's not perfect for painting yet, but it's okay to do some trimming at the base. Like this one, I'm just going to cut it right off. So I can cut it right off like this. So the base is gone, and I'm going to use this as a lapel pin, and I will glue a safety pin, on at the back here, so I can wear it like that. This one too, same thing. I'm going to cut it right off, cut off the base. This one I will try to use a trimmer. See, the silicone is pure enough that you can actually just cut it off like that. This shear will not cut the wire tie, so after you've done that, probably have to use something like this to cut it off. Now if I put some caulking back here to stick them, need some caulking back here to hold on to the wire tie, otherwise it will keep falling off. I will do the same on this one. This one, I am going to just cut the base off. And I'll put some caulking back on this and this. These three I can reuse. These three I can reuse. Well, we have three I'm going to work on. See, after you cut the base off, you can see better here. The center doesn't have any silicone, so I'm going to put some silicone back in the center to hold on to the wire tie. Just enough to put in the middle of the wire tie. Not so much, you don't want any silicone outside the caulking, because if you have silicone outside the caulking, you are not going to be able to paint on the silicone. So you just want to stick it inside to as the adhesive for all the wire tie inside. So the wire tie have something to grip on. Same thing here. So we're going to wait for at least 2 hours for the silicone to form a skin, and then we can put a little bit more caulking on each of them to cover the rest of the wire tie, or you can actually trim them off, depends on what shape or form that you are looking for, and go from there. We have 3 left. Well, there was one casualty when I was cutting the base off. So I have these 3 left, and I'm using them as lapel pins, so I'm going to install a safety pin on the back of each one. May have to put something so it can lean against it so it won't fall. I'm going to do this. I want this to go like this, stay like this, so I can install the safety pins somewhere around here. Good idea to whip the silicone to stick with the old silicone if possible. That way the silicone will stick better than silicone on caulking. Then after you've done this, you can put a little bit more caulking on top of the silicone so it will stay put. So again, make sure you want the angle in the right position. It's about there. So just put it there. Let it stay just like that. Put something lean against it. Right there. Now this one, I'm hoping it's easier. Can open a safety pin, glue this side of the pin, not the other side. Glue this side of the pin, this side. That will do. Just like that. As long as stay upright. Stay upright. Wait for a couple hours before you touch it again. Well, we got 3 left. This 3 has been cured for about 2 days. Got busy. Couldn't come back and start painting. And usually overnight should be ready to paint, but I left it for 2 days. Also, I added a extra pin on each one. You can see the extra pin 1, 2, because they are big and kind of heavy. So put in an extra pin so you can pin it on a lapel to save your clothes, and also make sure it doesn't move a lot. And you can measure, take a look at this, it's big. I mean, give you actual scales, the width is 4 inches. 4 inches this way. And 4 inches that way, and about 3.5 this way. So it's big, it's big. Again, these things is almost more than 3 inches this way. So they have some weight. Anyway, I am ready to paint them, and usually I just put a base coat of paint on each one. And when it comes to painting, you guys know what you're going to do. Latex caulking is a very good painting surface. Most painter will tell you, not the artist painting, but the
contractor type of wall painting, people will tell you later you can just paint on latex caulking, just like almost like drywall. The mono caulking is a little glossy, a little smooth finish. It has a little bit different than the dab, but it might take a couple coats to cover the whole things. But the idea is the same. You can paint it on any way you want. Now the reason I use different color caulking, especially the mono, this is the brown one and this is the light gray, because if you don't cover the whole surface area 100%, you will still see a little bit of beige color, and I like that because you can use the light gray as the light base and the dark brown as a darker color theme. And you can also mix them like that. I purposely try not to paint the whole thing, so in some case I just want to like that, so you get a little bit of brown effects from the back. I kind of like that. We done? Oh, we done. So you know what I was doing with this cut off zip tie, and why I tried to make this and this. So if you have any comment, feel free to put it down in the comment section. And if you enjoyed the video, give us a like and make sure to subscribe so you won't miss any future video. I enjoyed doing this documentary, and I will be doing more in the future. Until next time, this is Gilbert's Little Arts Creations. Bye!